Hi everyone, welcome to Lauren Tuggle's Artist Talk for her show Quarantine Dreams. My name is Alyssa Klaus and I'm the director at the Meadows Museum of Art. Just a housekeeping note, we just ask that everyone keep their mask on unless you are actively eating at the reception following the event. So we do have food set up out in the hallway and you are welcome to stay and eat and visit with Lauren, ask questions, and just hang out until around 7 o'clock.
And buy some art.
And buy some art. For any Centenary students that are here, we do have passport points and they will be available at the front desk after the talk. I am happy to introduce our speaker for tonight, Lauren Tuggle. Lauren is a Centenary Studio Art graduate and is the very first Centenary Studio Art student to have her senior exhibition at the Meadows Museum of Art. Born and raised in Benton, Louisiana, Lauren graduated from high school at LSMSA, the Louisiana School for Math, Science, and the Arts, and graduated cum laude from Centenary College. While at Centenary, Lauren interned here at the Meadows Museum of Art for 2 years, where she did everything. She constructed frames, installed exhibitions, updated the permanent collection digital database, helped curate an exhibition, wrote exhibition interpretive text, and worked on the museum's social media. So basically, everything. She was also a second place winner at the 2019 Addy Awards for book covers that she designed while at Centenary. Lauren primarily works with digital illustration and enjoys exploring color, mood, and expression in her artwork. Please join me in welcoming Lauren. Hello.
I won't talk for too long. This will be more like a conversation more than me lecturing at you about this. But I want to start by, thanking you all for being here. Thank you. Setting up this series of works in a coherent order was probably the hardest part, and painting all of these took me a year. I wanted to set them up in a timeline sort of way, a story that told of my experience during quarantine of this year, so not even during the beginning of quarantine. At the beginning, I felt feelings of idleness and boredom and isolation, which has permeated throughout all of quarantine for me. And so I, at the beginning, tried to paint things that would make me happy and try to take my mind off of things. And so a few of them have subject matter that isn't entirely super deep, because I just wanted to paint anything that would keep my mind off of everything. As I went on, though, I started to explore more of my feelings, and it sort of descended into what felt like a nightmare. And so the way that all of them are hung are meant to represent the feelings that emerged while I was doing this whole show. So beginning with normalcy, the descent, even more descent into pure isolation, and then the slow recovery and return to what could be called normalcy. It's still not exactly back to the way it was, but I wanted to explore lots of color and expression and faces, distorted faces, and hands, and the view from my window in my room where I painted every single one of these. And I wanted to capture some digital feelings in some of them, so you'll notice that some of them have more of a digital or printed quality to them. Like that one over there with the hands that has a technique called chromatic aberration, which is the colors sort of bleeding out opposite directions. And these that look like printing errors over here. Because I am primarily a digital artist, what else? I wanted to explore lots and lots of really bright, powerful color. And so obviously you'll see like the black and red. I liked green a lot. I paint a lot of blues and purples. And not all of them are sad, and not all of them are idle or bored. There were moments of happiness, of course, throughout quarantine, but the way that quarantine started for me was one of my friends dying. I put a lot of, sorry. I put a lot of feeling into this, and I'm really glad that it's done. I'm really glad that it's finally come together after the year. I don't know why I'm crying. But thank you all for being here and for looking at it. I hope you find one of them that reaches you. That's about it. If you wanted to ask any questions, I will definitely answer.
Was painting healing for you at times?
A lot of it felt like therapy, basically. Like, I would begin painting and I would be upset or bored or anything, but as I started painting, I would just the hours would fly by, and then I'd have a painting at the end, it's really healing to create things. And that was a large part of painting a lot of these, was not only getting my feelings out on the canvas, but also to create something. I have some favorites. For example, the one with my chickens over there. That one's one of my absolute favorites. I do actually have those chickens. I got them at the beginning of quarantine, and they're still very happy and healthy in my backyard. I have some other favorites, but not necessarily all that are happy like that. This one over here, the purple, was a lot of my feeling throughout quarantine. The word that I would use to describe a lot of my experience was rotting. I felt like I would lay in bed and just rot all day. And so I liked that one a lot. I felt like it was very true to my emotional state. You'll find that a lot of them are probably kind of creepy or off-putting, but I like the uncanny as much as I like beauty. And I enjoyed painting all the weird ones, even whenever my mom would come to my room and be like, "Oh, you painted another creepy one." I like them just as much as I like the prettier ones.
Did you choose this theme?
Yes, I had a lot of trouble coming up with a theme at first. Me and my professor, Shay, we went through some ideas beforehand, and my initial thoughts for what this would be was nothing like how it turned out. Whenever I started painting and I just started putting thoughts on canvas and painting things that made me happy, Shay brought up the idea for the title of the show, Quarantine Dreams, and I felt that it fit perfectly because I wanted it to feel, a lot of them to feel dreamy and sort of swim in between reality and unconsciousness for me. And so the theme kind of came as I was painting, but I'm really happy with how it turned out.
You talked about identifying as a digital artist,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm curious to know what your process was like for these paintings. Like, did they start ever in a digital form, or just how did you approach in terms of getting it from here in your head to canvas, or did it come into your head as you were working with canvas? What was your process?
I have thumbnails for almost entirely every single one of these, just like a tiny sketch like this big of every single one of these. And they look like scribbles, a lot of them, but it just helped me to get some ideas flowing. And there are a lot of thumbnails that I didn't end up using. Some of what I thought were good ideas, and then as soon as I tried to sketch them on the canvas, I was like, this isn't going to work. Several of them have paintings underneath them that I ended up not liking, and so I just painted completely over them. A lot of it was in the sketch phase, but I feel like most of the colors I chose and how they turned out now came during the process of painting them, rather than knowing exactly what I was going to paint as soon as I started putting paint on the canvas. Yes.
What kind of reactions are you hoping to get from people coming in to see these?
I mean, of course I want people to like them. Just like as a baseline, just coming in and be like, oh, these are kind of neat. But more, I want at least one of them for someone to gravitate to, because there's 42 of them. I hope that at least one of them really caught your eye and makes you feel something. Like, even if that feeling is bad, even if you go up to someone and be like, oh, I do not like, I do not like that. It's still a feeling that has been elicited. And I think eliciting feelings in your audience is pretty much the best thing that an artist can ask for, even if they're bad feelings. Because a lot of these were bad feelings for me. And so I feel like those are kind of baked into the paint that are on the canvas. Putting these in an order was really hard. It took me like, I don't know, 6 hours just of trying to put them in an order to put on the walls, and then putting on the walls was a whole different ordeal. And of course, they're all hung intentionally the way that they are, which is supposed to elicit discomfort, of course. Whenever I started springing this idea on Shay, he was like, this is really weird. Like, it makes me so uncomfortable. And I'm like, yeah, it's supposed to, like, especially this wall over here, that's supposed to feel like a really low moment or a manic moment. And then this is another low moment. Just separated from everything else. And then the slow coming back up and then returning to somewhat of normalcy. That was at the beginning of the show. It's supposed to be read like this, basically.
Are there any artists that kind of inspired you, or maybe who work in a similar way or with similar concepts that you were aware of, or maybe have since become aware of?
Mm-hmm.
How do you contextualize this?
Oh gosh. It's going to completely slip my mind, every single modern artist that I know and like. But I feel like a lot of it was inspired by I want to say a modern sensibility of empathy and emotion. You'll see a lot of modern art these days where it doesn't look like much upon first glance, but upon closer inspection and maybe reading a little bit about it, you discover that it has a lot of meaning to it, even if it doesn't appear to at first glance. And I wanted to capture that kind of feeling. I wanted to tell a story more through emotion and color, and then necessarily, you look at the thing, you know immediately what it's about, you know? Which is a much more modern art kind of sensibility, I feel. I'm so sorry, I can't think of any artists off the top of my head, but I swear I do like modern art a lot.
Can you talk more about your use of color?
Oh gosh. Well, a lot of color choices were made purely because I thought I like the color. And so, for example, the pink and blue one, the beach that's back there, that one was inspired by a Yankee candle that I have by my desk. It's called Pink Sands, and it's got a pink beach and a blue sky. And I thought that those two particular colors worked really well together. I don't want to like boast or anything and say I have like a keen eye for color, but like a lot of the color that I chose is supposed to be part of it, basically. The colors are not inconsequential. And so a lot of the ones where I felt really at low points, were often in purple and pink and blue. I tried to use pretty much every color that I had. Some of them stick out more than others. Like, I didn't use a lot of yellow, I think. Lots of purples and pinks and blues. I just really like those colors a lot. And so they kind of helped me to express my feeling on canvas. I also like the green ones a lot. They feel much more like nature and comfort, I guess. Like, for example, this one over in the corner over here is one of my favorites. I painted this one while on vacation in rural Arkansas with my friends. And so that one has a lot of sentimentality for me, and it feels like nature and love, basically. That's what a lot of the green and the green-blue ones feel like to me. And then red kind of obviously represents a sort of mania of some kind. Not necessarily always. There's some over there that are mostly red and don't necessarily represent that, but red isn't always a bad color. It's a strong emotion, not necessarily a good or bad one. I also like pastels a lot. I didn't use a lot of pastels, but I do like them a lot. Some of my favorite ones are the really light ones. I'm not sure what else to talk about, to be honest.
Do they have individual titles?
No, none of them are titled. Whenever I was painting some of them, I would have a keyword in mind, basically, but I decided not to go with titles for any of them because I didn't really want a title to suggest or impress upon a viewer what the meaning of a painting could be, because ultimately I want all of these to impress upon you what you think of them, not what I think of them while I was making them. Because again, the goal of any artist is really to elicit some kind of feeling in the person looking at it, and I feel like you get less of that if I hold your hand and tell you what exactly a painting was about whenever I was painting it. Because a painting that means something to me can mean something entirely different to somebody else. And I had some friends who were helping me set up, and they were talking about what they thought of a lot of them. And whenever they would tell their theories to me, I would silently be like, that is not at all what I was thinking of. But I'm glad that it means that to you. Like, I don't feel like it's a misinterpretation of what I painted. It just means that someone else has interpreted it in an entirely different way, and that's awesome. Like, sparing more than a passing thought to any of these means the world to me.
Do you have advice for the seniors who are going to be doing this solo capstone experience?
Don't procrastinate at all. It will go very badly for you. Try to set up a very set schedule and stick to it. That is the only way you'll get through it. It is an enormous project. It took me the entire year to paint all of these. And also go with what feels right to you, because again, the beginning of this project was nothing like how it turned out. And this felt like a more genuine expression of myself. And I'm glad that it turned out that way. I think I would have been less happy if it was something that didn't mean quite as much to me emotionally. And so pick something that you are going to love and want to look at all the time, because you'll be looking at it for a long time. Something for you. Do it for you before you do it for anyone else. Even though it is part of your capstone, like obviously you have to present it to everyone. Ultimately, this show was for me before it was for anyone else.
Where can people buy
You can buy them at latuggle.com. That's latuggle.com. Each of them are $200. I will also be at the Makers Fair. That's this Saturday, where I will be selling much cheaper prints of them, like high quality prints of the most well-liked ones. I don't know if we'll get prints of every single one of them, but yeah, if you want a print of any of these, I'll be at the Makers Fair that's here on Saturday. Or if you want the original and just, steal it off the wall. Or you could buy it for $200, either way. You're getting a painting.
Can I ask your mom to say something about that in a really unique way? You got to watch this happen? How was that? That's not, normally it would be more secretive for you, right? It would be the studio and you wouldn't know maybe what was going on.
Mm-hmm. But it was just in my bedroom, so she would see all my paintings all the time. So.
Right.
I think the hardest part of all of this was just getting started.
Yes.
When I started, she was just like popping them out,
Mm-hmm.
and every day I would just be blown away. And there's a few I didn't even see. I'm like, oh, how'd you do this one? There's some prints that she didn't like. She just went all over the place. She just got everything up there.
Mm-hmm.
I was impressed with, there's a lady over there wearing a satin blouse. I'm like, how do you know how to do satin? We had to Google how to do shading on satin. And the patent boots over there, she had to research how to do lighting on patent boots. Like that, it just seems hard to me. But yeah, I'm just so impressed with her, with her color choices. They're all just so vibrant. But yes, the hardest part was just getting started.
It was, yeah. My very first painting, which was the Arizona tea one back there, took me probably
Probably took the longest.
probably like 3 or 4 days of constant painting because I had no idea what I was doing with it, and I really didn't like it a lot. And then I kept painting and kept at it, and so yes, that one took the longest because it was the very first one I didn't know what I was doing. Once I really got into the groove of it, I could.
It's because you're not super familiar with painting.
It's true.
You're used to drawing,
Mhm.
used to digital.
It's true. I'm actually
So
not.
it's kind of out of your comfort zone. So I think you have a lot of fear initially.
I am not an acrylic painter. It's not.
Now,
I am now, I guess, but I was not at the beginning of this. My preferred medium is either digital or watercolors, actually, but I felt that acrylics with their really powerful colors and the wood panels, I felt like it was most appropriate. And I'm really happy that I ended up using acrylic because, again, the vibrancy and everything, I could not possibly get that with any other medium.
but your true love
Is digital.
or I thought you said watercolor.
Well, yeah. I love both. I am primarily a digital artist, but whenever I can, I love to use watercolor. Well,
With
it
all
is.
people, you should be very proud of yourself.
Thank you. If there's no more questions, well, you can keep talking to me as we go get finger food, but if there's no more questions, I will not keep you in these seats, and we can go get food that's out there right now. So.